Hey there everyone, this is Melody from God to Your Belly, and gardening runs through my veins. I absolutely love it. It makes me relax and it's very functional. I pick food right from the garden, take it right to the kitchen and have a delicious meal in minutes. So that you can do the same, I'm going to share with you how easy it is to start your garden. Whether it's a potted garden, windowsill, backyard raised bed garden, or something larger. The 10 tips for planting seeds starts with the dirt. I used organic, well-nourished soil that is a good mix between soil rich in organic matter, some sand, little bits of shredded pieces of wood, and I also mix in some cow manure. See how dark that is? And the soil is also a nice dark color. I use a soil rich in organic matter because things want to live in there. Earthworms, little bugs, just things that bring life, and when they die, when they poop, they help to re-nourish the soil. So it's like the circle of life kind of a thing. If you have soil that there's nothing living in there, don't use it. If it's too sandy, that means it doesn't hold the water well, it doesn't hold the plant together well, and so the plant will die quickly. If it's like clay, it's too thick, the soil is very dense, there's no air going through it. So it'll have water, but it'll make it like a muddy paste. Not a good environment for life. As far as manures, I don't use chemical fertilizers, I use natural. Manure is cow poop. And this one is composted. And the reason why it's composted is because you want to get rid of the strong ammonia smell that is attached to animal poop, cow poop specifically. Few months up to a year, it's sitting, it's drying, it's curing, and all that bad smell goes, but it saves all the good nutrients so you can put it in your plant. Number 2 is the container. I use what I have on hand, whether containers that used to have mushrooms, and I cut paper towel rolls and I stick it in there so I can fill it with soil and drop 1 seed per roll section. So when I'm pulling it out, it's easy and I don't have to rip any roots. You don't necessarily need the rolls. You can absolutely plant the seeds in this. Just be mindful that when the plant is bigger and you're ready to pull it out, you'll rip some of the roots because the roots go everywhere where there is space. All right? Or I use an egg carton. I use this kind, it's made from paper. Fill it with soil, a little indentation, drop a seed, cover it, it's good to go. It does get wet, so I take off the top and kind of give it extra support. It makes it easy to separate and drop it in the soil because it's paper and it's going to, I guess, melt into the soil and break down and help to give the soil in that area some structure. So it's not a bad thing. Most containers at stores for plants are plastic or ceramic or terracotta. I have some plastic here. I had some portobello mushrooms. I'm saving that. And this is a regular plant container. It already comes with the holes in the bottom for great drainage. So that's the foundation. So we have the soil, we have the container, now we have the seeds. The easy way to get seeds is to buy them. So this is a soup mix that they sell at the grocery store. It has like 15 different types of beans in it. And I make a delicious bean soup, so why not grow the beans? So I have put them in some water to soak. Or go to the local hardware store or like a Home Depot or Lowe's or a plant nursery, and I get seeds. I get organic, that's certified. I also love to get heirloom, and that means the seed hasn't been modified in any way over the years. So now let's jump into my top 10. The first one is to buy seeds from a trusted source. Oftentimes, people will just package seeds, and the plants that they get the seeds from is filled with all kinds of chemicals. So make sure you do some research, make sure you're getting seeds that minimally processed, not a lot of chemicals or zero chemicals, just as natural as you can get, because you're gonna eat that. You're gonna feed that to your family. You wanna give them good things. Number two, the container. Make sure it has good drainage. One of the things I do for the containers that I haven't poked holes into is I'll put some stones on the bottom, just rocks around the yard, and that's going to create some space in the container. Then I put the soil on top, and then I plant. If the soil doesn't have good drainage, then it'll form this blue-green film on the top. Hey Marley. And it'll be waterlogged, and then seeds will die, plant will die, it won't be healthy. So for sure, drainage is important. Next is good soil. I have raised garden bed soil, nice and healthy, good consistency, not clay-like. See, it's falling, but you could also clump it together and it clumps. So it's a good flexible soil, and things can live in there. Bugs, earthworms, perfect. And I use the cow manure. So I mix these together. And it doesn't have a smell, which is great. I mix these two together. One thing I like about this, when I use this soil mixture, the first time I put it in the garden, within like a week or so, I get mushrooms all over the garden. They look so beautiful and they're so fun to watch. And they're great for your plants because when they break down, they nourish the soil as well. All right, so there are a couple of ways. Let's see, on my list, you got the soil. Now there's a couple of ways to get the seeds going. One is I soak it in water overnight. And this is because in this form, or you get it in a packet, the seeds are lying dormant. That means they're resting until they're in a situation where they have a regular supply of water source. Once they get that, they start to reconstitute and they become alive, and then the growing process starts. So one way I do that for the larger seeds is to soak it, or I get a flat container. Let's make sure you can see this on camera. Great. Flat container. I get some paper towel. I get just 2 little sections. Lay it flat. And then I choose some seeds. And I do this for the bigger seeds, not for the tiny seeds that would come for like herbs and things like that. So let's go with some pinto beans. Yeah, let's do that. And maybe a butter bean, because why not? See? 4 little seeds, and I have a water spritz bottle here, and I spritz it really well. That's gonna start the process. You don't want to get it waterlogged because then the seeds will start to rot. And then I just close it over like I'm wrapping it in a blanket, and I spritz it some more. So I keep this moist, and you'll start to see some action in about 3 days or so. So in a few days, the seeds will realize this is a regular water source, and we're gonna start moving. These have started, you'll see the skin, I'll come closer. The skin is kind of shriveled a little bit because it's getting reconstituted. So now we're going to plant, my favorite part. An important thing to do is to label the plants as well. So I have red beans, I have butter beans, and I have black bean signs. It is recommended to start the plants indoors. I don't do that all the time. Sometimes I just drop like some tomato seeds and they're fine. But I did lemon balm and it wasn't fine. It didn't even grow. It grew a little sprout and was eaten. So now I put the lemon balm in a little greenhouse, and they're maybe 3 to 5 inches tall. So you just gotta roll with it and see what works for you. So we're gonna put some soil in here. Going to put a little bit of an indentation in there. Same for the butter beans. Pretty easy, right? And then the black beans, I sprinkle. That's there. When I plant them in the same container, I give them a little bit of a room so that they're not grown all stuck together. Then I'm just gonna cover it with a little bit of a topsoil. Gardening is not a neat job. So you get to be okay with being messy, because not only are you doing something good for yourself, you're doing something good for your family, for your environment. Gosh, gardening could almost be like a meditation when you think about it. So I've shown you how to use store-bought containers, something you already have, recycle things, how easy it is to start. Once you plant them, make sure you wet the soil. Now, as the plants are growing, I recommend you use a spritz bottle to water them, because anything heavier can damage them because they're so delicate at that point. since I just planted these, I want the soil to be really soaked. It's that thing where the seeds are recognizing, ooh, I have a steady water source. And then they'll start the growing process. When you're planting the seeds, be sure to read the container to see how deep you need to plant the seeds. It's a good 2 to 3 inches deep, depending on the seed. Each container will tell you how deep to plant the seeds. Start it indoors because it's more controlled environment, a lot of bugs to worry about. Warm location helps. It's going to help the seeds germinate. So I have a little greenhouse to the side, or a windowsill where it's getting light. Monitor the environment. Is it by a fan or an AC unit? Is there cold air blowing on it? You gotta almost kind of baby it a little bit. And keep it well watered. I check my soil for dampness. I touch it, I look at it, and I note when it's dry. If it's separating from the sides of the containers, it's way too dry. But you don't want it to have a pooling of water in the middle as well. So find a happy balance between that. And then number 10 is, if you've done all this, you've bought seeds from a place you thought was a trusted source, you found a container with good drainage, you put in good soil, you pre-soak the seeds, you plant it at a proper depth, you start it indoors, you keep it in a warm location, you monitor the environment, and you keep it well watered, and it still doesn't grow. Number 10, change your seed source. Sometimes in the processing of the seeds and the packaging, things happen. Maybe it got too much heat, or somehow moisture got in there and they sprouted in the packet and then died because there was no life, nothing going on in there, or they were just what they call duds, seeds that just they're infertile. Keep trying, don't give up. Try different seeds, same plants to different manufacturers until you find the right source that works for you. It is so easy to plant food for yourself. If you do that, there's no worry of any kind of food shortage, because you plant the seeds, you get like the beans, you can absolutely dry them and store them for a long time, because just like in this packet, they'll be dormant until you decide to water them again. All right, now that we've watered them, we're going to label them so we know what's what. So, black beans. And these are the stakes that you can get at the hardware store or nursery. Just use a permanent marker, write on it, stick it right in there. Or, I made this one just to show you that it doesn't have to cost a lot to do gardening. Use what you already have. Scraps of paper in the house, some Scotch tape, write the word, write the name of the plant, wrap it in Scotch tape, use a toothpick, glue it together, already done. And so this is your red beans, and this one butter beans. All labeled, ready to go in the greenhouse. love to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next video.